Hey guys, All in Crypto here, and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, for another YouTube video. I hope you've all had a wonderful Wednesday. If I can ask you all to do me a favor, if you've enjoyed this video, please leave me a like and a comment in the comment section. It really helps me out in regards to the YouTube algorithm. Today we're going to be diving into Cardano, and I'm going to be telling you why technically I believe Cardano could be on its way back to sort of that $1.22 mark. We know, and every single day on this channel, we talk about the fundamental reasons to be bullish on Cardano. Luna has actually been quite a good example of what an algorithmic stablecoin and a kind of expansion of DeFi on a cryptocurrency will do for it. We're seeing a lot of appreciation for Terra Luna based on what's being built on their blockchain. Cardano is going into a similar kind of phase. We're going to get DJED soon, which is our algorithmic stablecoin, and we also know that we are starting to see the fruits of DeFi, and we're kind of at an all-time high for total value locked currently. There's so much going on and a number of fundamental reasons to be absolutely bullish on Cardano. And right now, or given the sort of past sort of little while, Cardano's price has really not been representative of what's actually taking place. It's not really followed fundamentals, more the kind of wider macro stance on everything. So we are going to get into technically. You do absolutely have to remember a lot of technicals are going out the window at the moment because of the kind of macroeconomic landscape. Not just macroeconomic, we've also got a sprinkling of geopolitical events taking place right now that are weighing quite heavily on markets. And crypto is actually, and we covered it in our earlier video, doing quite well in the wake of all that. We're seeing it sort of start to decouple perhaps from the equities that it's been quite tethered to and show strength when others are showing weakness. Also, it's important to pay attention to Bitcoin because Bitcoin is still that tide that rises and sinks all ships, ships being the altcoins. It's the decider of direction within the crypto space, but technically it doesn't look too bad at all in my opinion. You could have formed a W double bottom, which we'll talk about very quickly to kick things off. I really like the Crypto Sniper's draw here in regards to this. He's essentially calling for that kind of W double bottom that could actually set up a head and shoulders, with this being a complex head, to see continuation to the upside to round about that sort of 56 plus K range, which would be fantastic. You guys know that I've been saying for a long time, I do not think we are entering a bear market in a historical sense. You know, we've typically seen after the kind of bull market, a 2-year-long bear market take place, the halvening takes place and things kind of adjust. I don't think that's the sort of roadmap that we're following in the same way. 2021 didn't play out in the way I certainly expected it to, with a kind of parabolic run to kind of end the year off and a rinse and repeat of the 4-year cycle theory. I think a lot of cycles, a lot of charts, a lot of models have essentially gone out the window, and that has a lot to do with March 2020 being a huge inflationary event and really shaping our markets. So Bitcoin, you can see, potentially could be this being your neckline of the W double bottom in a W double bottom. Notice that you actually made a marginally lower low here as well, which sort of typically indicates that your kind of sell pressure is somewhat weak. It's kind of waning, if you will, and you've kind of at this resistance level here, which would be deemed your neckline, looking for that sort of continuation. This is a really good draw from the Crypto Sniper. The Crypto Sniper is an OG, really within not just the crypto space, but markets across the board. He's got many things right. But again, you know, just like a lot of people trying to call this market, there's a lot of irrationality to the markets, not just crypto, across the board. And I'm sure many of you are kind of noticing that. So Bitcoin technically doesn't look too bad at all. Let's talk about Cardano. We're going to go down to the 4-hourly chart. It is important. What I'll do once I've checked the 4-hourly chart is we'll go to the weekly, because both your RSI and your MACD are at historically low levels. In fact, bear market levels, bottom of the bear market levels. We're lower now on the RSI and the MACD than we were on March 2020, when markets, you know, sort of fell through the floor. But we'll talk about that after we've kind of shown you the technical structure that I think is playing out on a smaller time frame that could see us break out to sort of that $1.22 range, and then set up structure for that continuation. You know, Cardano will bottom. It will go on to make new all-time highs. For me, it is a matter of when, not if. And I've been buying all these dips. So take that for what it is. You know, I bought the dip over here, bought the dip over here, bought the dip over here, over here, and over here. And I'm going to continue to do so because I'm ultimately a net accumulator. of ADA, as I believe in the project. I believe what they're doing. And I think over the sort of longer term time horizon, they have a very, very bright future. So let's get into the structure that we're going to look at. We'll start with the 4 hourly. Essentially what I'm calling for here is a head and shoulders, guys. We will pull up some schematics so that you guys can kind of make your own opinion up on whether you think this is how things are playing out. And what I'm calling for essentially is this to be your left shoulder, this to be your right shoulder, your head, and this to be your right shoulder that we're currently forming. And ultimately, I'm expecting a breakout to the upside on the back end of this that will see you sort of round about that $1.22 mark. How you get your head and shoulders target, and we'll take it off log, is you essentially draw from the head upwards. So you're looking at sort of that $1.22 mark, which is the target I'm personally looking for. I'll put that on the chart. I have to use a different chart for the YouTube videos because the chart that I use and sort of work off of, it's a mess. So this is ultimately what I'm expecting. Cardano likes to set up these kind of structures. You can see over here, it did a similar thing. You know, this is your sort of other head and shoulders that we're looking at. We very quickly invert the chart. You know, to me, this looks like it has a good chance of breaking to the downside, which of course would be the upside with the chart the right way up. This is what I'm looking at. And you can see we have ran into a kind of resistance over here. But one thing that's important is when you run into resistance, if you don't reject off it in a kind of hard manner, it's quite a good sign that there's strength there. You know, you're actually finding a little bit of support and the sell pressure is kind of waning. Now, we need a little bit of volume to take us through here. Ultimately, this could come on the back end of Bitcoin kind of making the break for it, but this is what we're expecting. A huge disclaimer again, lots going on a geopolitical scale and on a macroeconomic scale. And people at the moment are trying to second guess that and getting wrecked. All the traders I know right now are having a very tough time, or certainly the majority of them. And in fact, the majority of them are not even trading during this time period because there's just so much uncertainty on the table given geopolitical and macroeconomic events. You've absolutely got to understand that otherwise you'll be looking at crypto and it won't be making much sense, because you'll be looking at the fundamentals, which we do on this channel every day, and you'll be going, things are unbelievably bullish. Why is the price not acting accordingly? Let's dive into some schematics and you guys can make up your own opinion whether you think this potentially could be at play. These are some schematics or a few schematics of a typical head and shoulders. You can see you've got your left shoulder here, your head and your right shoulder. Very typical that your right shoulder doesn't come down to where your left shoulder had kind of finished the pullback or the advance, because this is also showing weakness before the event actually occurs. Here is another one, brief explanation. Can you see this? And when people look at head and shoulders, they look for a kind of perfect head and shoulders. They don't really typically exist, in my opinion. Yes, you do get some structures that are just undeniably close to your sort of typical schematics that everybody uses, but quite often you'll have a kind of complex head, maybe a complex shoulder, and it will look kind of out of the ordinary. So here's another example with a complex head. And of course, you've got this one here. And you can see again, right shoulder not coming below the left shoulder. Potential for this, I mean, it looks very similar to what we're currently looking at. Pull that back up so we can see them side by side. I mean, what do you think, guys? Are you seeing this? Do you think that, you know, this is likely to play out? My hunch would be that we actually see that advancement and this turns out to be bullish. Right now, you're also on your 4 hourly EMA or getting very close to it, that could indeed actually propel you as support. There are fundamental reasons to back up Cardano breaking out, and it has everything to do with the DeFi space that is being built and some of what's being built upon ADA. DJED is going to be huge. Like I say, important point about Terra Luna, because they are essentially getting a lot of benefit, just like Ethereum did when Ethereum came out with their DeFi, from the DeFi space that they're building, and of course the algorithmic stablecoin and the stablecoins that they actually have. Cardano doesn't even have a stablecoin yet. What you need to understand, and we've shown you practical examples of this, of looking at different dexes and showing you what are the biggest pairs. They all involve stablecoins. What are some of the most borrowed when we assets within a ecosystem, stable coins. We're yet to have that. There are fundamental, absolutely fundamental reasons for ADA to break out. I'll be very quickly covering drip drops in a second, and MinSwap with the liquidity bootstrapping event, which we took part in, with my own personal wallet, and of course a wallet that I've got to kind of dummy for you guys. Just a few comments on that and how that's going on. But this is something that I'm ultimately planning on. I think this is going to pay off. And remember, I've been a dip buyer throughout this entire downtrend. So take for that what you will. We've not really called the bottom accurately. Then again, nobody has. And this is trading at the end of the day, guys. This is investing. You're never going to time things perfectly, but it's how you deal with being wrong that makes the difference. You know, it's what really saves your bacon. And if you ask traders generally, you know, they'll get quite a lot of trades wrong, but what really saves them is management of those wrong trades. So this is what we're looking for. Let me know in the comments if we go down to the 1 hourly. You can also see it as well, and you can see how you're forming this kind of shoulder. What we'll do actually is we'll put a number of lines on here to look out for, to kind of maybe potentially invalidate this. You know, you could come down a little bit more, just like the snipers kind of got here for Bitcoin, potentially seeing a little bit of an easing off the WW bottom neckline before you get that continuation, setting up a kind of macro inverse head and shoulders, you know, before we get that break. I think this is something that I'm certainly looking at and paying attention to. And I thought you guys may find it interesting. So let's move on very quickly. We're at an all-time high for total value locked within the crypto space. This has everything to do with MinSwap's liquidity bootstrapping event. There is more. 13.3 million Cardano has now been contributed. We did say this was likely to be the case as more people get involved, because there is quite an opportunity here, not only with you being an early yield farmer within the MinSwap DEX, which is going to see quite a bit of rewards. You know, you're going to get extra rewards for doing so, but also because potentially you're picking up some cheap min, as they are distributing 100 min between just however many people partake. I think this is going to get to 20-25 million ADA. But, you know, you guys let me know. It's more Cardano locked up into the chain. We did also show you in yesterday's video, and if you've not already seen it, how to claim your Sunday Swap SPO rewards, ISPO rewards. We did a kind of breakdown of it. They are now available to claim. So that's really all I have for you guys. Lots of things going on fundamentally. Also quite a bit going on technically. But remember, we are in a kind of macroeconomic headwind and also a geopolitical rut, if you will. And that is all I already have for you in this video, guys. I'm going to love and leave you on that note. If you've enjoyed the content, like is always appreciated. So is a comment. Remember, we do have the stake pool. All in is the ticker. You can find us on any major wallet. And yeah, thank you very much, everybody who's already delegating. And I look forward to seeing you all in the next YouTube video. Thanks a lot, guys.